and welcome to the archives. We're back again, and today I'd like to take a look at just the runner cards in the Terminal Directive narrative expansion. I'll be doing another episode in about 2 weeks where I cover the corp cards, and I may be doing some more coverage on Terminal Directive. I'm thinking about possibly doing a little bit of a journal where I take a look at um, what happens when I actually play the narrative expansion. But I don't know yet if that's going to be the case. But we'll see. But first we're going to dive right in and take a look at some runner cards. Look at all the good stuff. We're going to start off with this fellow right here. This is Steve Cambridge, Master Grifter. He's a criminal identity Gmod. He has 0 link strength, 45 minimum card deck, and 15 influence. Pretty standard. His ability is the first time each turn that you make a successful run on HQ, you may choose 2 cards in your heap, if able. So, I believe that means that you have to have at least 2 cards in your discard pile in order to do this. And you choose them. The corp removes 1 from the game, the other is added to your grip. So this is the kind of thing you want to do when you've got a lot of cards in your heap, say like maybe 10, 12, and you pick 2 very good cards. 2 cards that the corp wouldn't want you to have any of them, but they have to pick one. So, because if you pick like a card that isn't very good and a card that's really good, the corp is going to choose the one that's really good to remove from the game and give you the one that's not so good. So it's an interesting little ID ability. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but it does seem interesting, and it seems like it, as I said, it seems like it would work best when you've got enough cards that you can make it basically make the choice that it's like, well, he's getting a good card either way, so which one do I pick, sort of thing. Yeah, he's not too bad. Nice criminal, I like it. On to the next. Here we have Brute Force Hack. Now, Brute Force Hack it costs X credits to play, and it has an influence cost of 3. Pretty hefty. It is an event double, so as an additional cost to play this event, you spend a click. So it'll take 2 clicks plus money. Derez a piece of ice that has a res cost of X or lower. So the higher the res cost of the ice, the more it's going to cost you to play this. Now, for some of the ones that are like cost 0 to res, this would cost only 2 clicks to play and 0 to derez it. But if you want to cost the corp money, you jack up the price of that and derez something. Now it could be interesting. I think it'll work best when the corp is poor and you've got money to burn, and you can derez something that they're not going to be able to res immediately. I think that is probably the best option for that. We also have some flavor text. Bypassing a system's defenses by cutting physical wires is what I like to call old school. Steve Cambridge. All right, on to the next card. Let's see what we have. Here we have spear phishing, spelled Phishing, as in fishing. Anyone who knows about hacking, which should be enough people playing this game, will know what the term phishing means. It is a run event, 2 credits to play, 3 influence, again, pretty hefty. Make a run. When you encounter the innermost piece of ice, protecting that server, bypass it. So this is kind of like an inside run, or an inside job, where instead of bypassing the first piece of ice you encounter, you bypass the last piece of ice, the innermost piece. I like it. I like it a lot. Targeted attacks make system breaches so much easier, especially if you can spoof an authorized user. Now, it says here when you encounter the innermost piece of ice. So that is basically the, it will be the innermost piece of ice, so it will be the last one. So if you play this, and it's not already rezzed, and that innermost piece of ice doesn't get rezzed, you don't actually encounter it, so you don't bypass it. So it's up to the corp whether or not they want to waste the money rezzing it. But if it's already rezzed, then this would be the best way to use this one when it's already rezzed. Yeah. All right, on to the next. Here we have Syn Attack, or SYN Attack. 2 credits to play, a double event. As an additional cost to play this event, spend a click. The corp must either discard 2 cards or draw 4 cards. Flooding the system with synchronized request messages makes it unresponsive to legitimate requests. 3 influence. This card in particular, I think I'm going to make room for it in my Laramie Fisk deck. Because I've already got Fisk Investment Seminar to flood the corp. I've got Laramie's ability to flood the corp. And this will either make them throw cards in the bin or flood them even more. Especially if they've got like agendas and stuff. I like the idea of using this. So I think this is going in my Laramie deck pretty quick. I think I can have some fun with it. Alright, on to the next. Here we have Polyhistor, the hardware console. 4 credits to install. It gives you +1 memory unit and +1 link strength. The first time each turn you pass all of the ice protecting HQ, you may draw 1 card and force the corp to draw a card. Again, this is probably going to be going in my Laramie deck because the first time you make that run on HQ, I can draw a card, force the corp to draw a card. My Laramie ability, I think, will also trigger and force the corp to draw a card as well, which means another 2 cards. And if I've played Fisk Investment Seminar, oh, so many cards. I love the idea of this. Limit 1 console per player. 4 influence on this, so you're not really going to see this outside of Criminal too much. But yeah, I think this one and Syn Attack is going in my Laramie deck, as well as what's coming up here in a minute. So let's move on to the programs, because here we have some code gate breaker. We have Abigail. 4 credits to install, 1 memory unit cost, 2 influence cost, 2 strength. We have an icebreaker decoder, 1 credit to break a code gate subroutine, 2 credits for +2 strength. Trash it, bypass a piece of code gate ice currently being encountered, even if it has strength greater than Abigail. Technology breeds crime. Now, trashing it, if it's like the last, if it is the last thing you need to get by to get an agenda, if you are in that situation, this particular piece of icebreaker might help win the game, because you can just trash it, bypass that piece of ice being encountered, not have to waste any money breaking subroutines to get in to get the winning agenda. I like the idea of this. And this, and I think the other criminal icebreakers in here will be going in my Laramie deck. I think I'm going to be retooling that. So let's go take a look at the next breaker. Here we have Lustig. 5 credits to install, 1 memory unit cost. It is an icebreaker killer, 1 strength, 3 influence, 1 credit to break a sentry subroutine, 3 credits plus 5 strength, and trash to bypass a piece of sentry ice currently being encountered, even if it has strength greater than Lustig. Flavor text of never boast, just let your importance be quietly obvious. Again, this one and the other one, the barrier that's coming up next that we're going to look at. If you've got somebody that has like 3 pieces of ice on a server holding the last agenda you need, you don't have the money to get in, but you have your breakers out. You can simply run, and if it's a code gate, a sentry, and a barrier, you can go trash, 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 bypass all 3 of them, and get into the server. So this makes it very nice for late game. Definitely want to use these in my Laramie deck. So let's go to the next one. Let's go to the barrier and have a look at that one. And we have Damara. 4 credits to install, 1 memory unit cost, Icebreaker Fractor, 2 influence on this, 1 strength. We have 2 credits to break up to 2 barrier subroutines, 2 credits for plus 3 strength, and trash to bypass a piece of barrier ice currently being encountered, even if it has strength greater than Damara. Flavor text of, it's a matter of acquiring the right credentials. So yes, these 3 breakers I think will be going into my Laramie deck, along with Polyhistor and Synattack, as well as having my Fisk Investment Seminar, and possibly as well information sifting, because I like the entire concept of playing Fisk Investment Seminar, making a run on HQ, getting in, and making playing Synattack, I should say, first. You play Fisk Investment Seminar first as your first one. You play Synattack, so they're either discarding 2 cards or drawing 4. And then your last attack, you play Information Sifting, make a run. If you've got Polyhistor out and you have Laramie's ability, you force them to draw 2 cards more into their hand and hit them with the Information Sifting run. Boom. I think Information Sifting is only a single click to play. So, anyways, let's move on to the next one. Here we have Mammon. It's this big old demon eating people. 3 credits to install, 1 memory unit cost, 2 influence, 0 strength. It's a program Icebreaker AI. Hosted power counter, break ice subroutine. So if you have hosted power counters, you can use them to break ice subroutine. 2 clicks plus 2 strength, or 2 credits plus 2 strength. When your turn begins, you may pay X credits to place X power counters on Mammon. When your turn ends, remove all hosted power counters. So it only has power counters for a turn, but you can load it up in advance before your turn has begun to have those power counters on it for what you want it to do. So that's important. 0 strength, as I said, 2 influence cost. It's not a bad little AI program. I like the idea of it. And 2 credits for plus 2 strength, that's not bad as well. It might be a little too expensive for me, but that's that. I don't know. Only 3 credits to install, though. Still. Alright, let's move on to the next. Here we have Charlatan, a 5 credit to install Resource Virtual. 4 influence on this baby. 2 clicks, make a run. The first time you approach a rezzed piece of ice during this run, you may pay credits equal to the strength of that ice to bypass it. Know your mark. Their weaknesses and strengths both will show you how best to bypass their defenses. So this is kind of cool. Equal to the strength of that ice to bypass it. So with Charlatan up, you can spend 2 clicks, make a run on a server that has a vanilla. Pay no credits, and bypass it because vanilla has 0 strength. So if you don't have anything out except Charlatan, you can get through a server that has just a vanilla over it. It's not bad. It's not bad. Especially for some of the low strength ice that it will cost more to break subroutines than it will to bypass it. That's pretty good, but it has to be the first time you approach a res piece, because you only get that the first time. All right, not bad. And we'll move on to the next one. Here we have Maxwell James. 1 credit resource connection. It is unique, so you can only have 1 active at any one time. It has a +1 link strength, 1 influence, and the ability of trash to derez a piece of ice, protecting a remote server. Use this ability only after a successful run on HQ. Remember, when Maxi was making book for, what's that, Chasen? When Chasen, he's moved up in the world and gained the veneer of respectability. But as an executive, the people he works for now are far more vicious, bloodthirsty, and crooked. Well. Maxi, what are you doing? Not bad. I like the idea of just trashing a card to derez a piece of ice, especially in remote servers. That can be handy. And it's only 1 to install. Even though you can only have 1 active at any one time, having it is and can be good. Yeah, not bad. All right, so let's move on to the Shaper cards that are in this particular one. Here we have Ayla Bios Rahim, Simulant Specialist. You get this wonderful lady here with a device that seems to have a holographic flower. She's got a beautiful scarf on. Looks good. I like it. 0 link strength, identity natural, 45 minimum card deck, 15 influence. Has the ability, before drawing your starting hand, look at the top 6 cards of your stack. Set 4 of them face down as NV Ram. Shuffle the rest into your stack. You spend a click, add 1 card from NV Ram into your grip. So this is, I've heard people say this is kind of like Andromeda for the Shapers, because you technically get 4 extra cards as well as the 5 in your hand as a starting hand. But what you can do, you can, before drawing your starting hand, look at the top 6 cards, put 4 of them face down, so you've got 4 cards sitting on a little sideboard that you can draw at any time. Then you draw your starting hand, and if you don't have anything good, you can shuffle it back in, mulligan, and draw another starting hand. And you still have those 4 cards on your sideboard sitting there. So you've got a greater chance of getting a good starting hand with her, I think, which is important. I kind of like her as a Shaper. I do. So let's move on to the next card and have a look at some of her cards. We have Careful Planning, a 3 credit to play priority event. Play only as your first click. Choose a card in or protecting a remote server. That card cannot be res this turn. 4 credits, or 4 influence cost. Flavor text of each AI had been tasked with finding a solution to the same problem, but with different variables. So careful planning. See, this is the sort of thing that you can, if they've got a card in a server that is protecting an asset, like an Ash that they haven't rezzed, but you're pretty sure it's an Ash or a Caprice or a Prysac or something protecting it. Something that would prevent you from getting in. Or a piece of ice that they haven't rezzed, protecting it. You can be like, you can't res that this turn, I make a run on that server. So you can do things with this card. In or protecting a remote server. I like it. I like it a lot. Alright, on to the next. Here we have Deep Data Mining. 3 credits to play run event. 4 influence again. Make a run on R&D. If successful, access 1 additional card for each unused MU up to 4. So you could access up to 5 cards from R&D with this. Extracting data from complex systems is what running is all about. So pulling one of these before you have any cards out, and if they haven't iced up R&D yet, you could get 5 cards like super quick. I like this card a lot. It's quite good, I think. It's kind of like a Maker's Eye in a way, but not really. And the reason why this is for each unused MU up to 4 is because of what's coming later, which you'll see. So let's move on to the next. Here we have LLDS Memory Diamond. 4 credits to install, hardware mod. 1 memory unit, +1 and +1 link strength. Your maximum hand size is increased by 1. It is not literally made of diamonds, but it is worth several times its weight in them. 1 influence only for this, so this can be splashed around a lot. I like that it not only gives you the +1 memory unit, +1 link strength, but also increases your hand size by 1. That can be important. Alright, on to the next. Here we have UBAX, a unique hardware console. 5 credits to install, +1 memory unit. When your turn begins, draw 1 card. Limit 1 console per player. It is more than just a pretty nanite plant. It's a complex, synthetic, intelligent, distributed network. And a very pretty nanite plant, according to BIOS. I like that. It's more than just a pretty nanite plant. It's a complex, synthetic, intelligent, distributed network, and a very pretty nanite plant. 3 influence cost on this. I like it a lot. I've actually got a BIOS deck because we're doing a Terminal Directive event tournament. So I've got an Ayla BIOS Rahim deck and a Sadar deck. Going to be going this coming, or no, I will have played it. I will have played in that tournament already by the time this episode goes live. It would have been on the weekend. Alright, on to the next. Here we have Adept. It is 5 credits to install, 2 memory unit cost. It's an icebreaker fractor killer. Adept has +1 strength for each unused MU. It has a 2 strength normally, 3 influence. 2 credits to break sentry or barrier subroutine. Now, with Adept having 2 memory unit cost, that's like half of your memory unit just to have him installed. But he breaks sentry and barrier, which is important. And having +1 strength for each unused MU, that is important as well because of something that's going to come later. So let's go to the next program because the next program is very similar. We have Savant. 4 credits to install, 2 memory unit cost, Icebreaker Killer Decoder. Savant has +1 strength for each unused MU, 2 credits to break 1 sentry or 2 code gate subroutines, 1 strength, 3 influence. So again, this one is breaking 2 different subroutines, code gates or sentries. Well, Adept did sentries or barriers. Now, they both have +1 strength for each unused MU, but they both cost 2 MU to install. And the reason why is very similar, but we can't get into it right away because we're going to the next card, which is Egret. 2 credits to install, 1 memory unit cost. Install Egret only on a rezzed piece of ice. Host ice gains sentry, code gate, and barrier. No strength on this one. 2 influence for it. So this one, you can just throw it on a piece of ice and give it Sentry, Code Gate, and Barrier, and then just pop through everything. So if you have a Gret enough, you could really only get by with just one breaker if you're set up properly. I'm not sure I would ever use this one. Maybe depending on a deck, but it's kind of interesting. I like it. And now we're going to go to the one I was talking about. Over here on this card, we have Degdir. Degdir. I think that's how you pronounce it. 2 credits to install, 0 memory unit cost. Program Daemon. Degdir can host a single program. When you install a program on Degdir, lower its install cost by 1. The memory cost of the hosted program does not count against your memory limit. No strength, 2 influence. So, you install Degdir for 2. It doesn't use up any memory. You then install Adept or Savant on Degdir, and you still have 4 memory units that aren't used because the memory unit of Adept doesn't count. That memory unit cost doesn't count towards your limit if it's installed on Degdir. So then you still have 4 memory units not used. So Adept has a strength of 6. Savant has a strength of 5. And then if you start getting more memory units, it goes up more. So I like that idea. It's quite nice. It takes a little bit to set up, but it's still good. So let's move on to the next. Here we have Levy Advanced Research Lab. It is a resource location, RITSI, 4 credits to install, 2 influence. You spend a click, reveal the top 4 cards of your stack. If any of those cards are programs, you may add 1 to your grip. Add the rest of the cards to the bottom of your stack in any order. Flavor text of innovation, iteration, education. So I kind of like it. It gets you, it can get you your programs if you are looking for one. That it definitely can. So yeah. So we will move on to the next card. I don't have a lot to say about this. It's pretty self-explanatory. I can see how it would be good to be used, though I'm not sure I will. Not just yet, anyways. And on to the next, finally. Here we have Laguna Velasco District. 5 credits to install. Resource location RITSI. Whenever you spend a click to draw 1 card, not through a card ability, draw 1 additional card. So this lets you spend a click to get 2 cards just by having this installed. And it is unique, so you can only have 1 active. 2 influence. Flavor text, one of the wealthiest and most powerful areas of New Angeles, Laguna Velasco, is known as the Government District. Okay. I like this idea. You get that installed for 5. It's a pretty hefty install cost for a location. But if you have to click for a card, then you're getting 2. Nothing to sneeze at. Alright, now we're on to the handful of neutral cards that come with the runners. We have Process Automation, 0 credits to play this event. Gain 2 credits and draw 1 card. 1 influence cost. Restructuring labor resources for the flavor text. Very, very simple. 0 credits and a click to gain 2 credits and draw a card. So not bad. Not bad at all. I'm a fan of that. Alright, on to the next. Here we have Officer Frank, who is a unique resource connection. 0 credits to install. Not bad. You trash Officer Frank and pay 1 credit. The Corp trashes 2 cards from HQ at random. Use this ability only if you suffered meat damage this turn. So if the Corp hurts you with meat damage, you can be like, trash Officer Frank, spend a credit, trash 2 cards. You hurt me, I hurt you. No influence on Officer Frank, but she looks pretty cool over there. The little redhead. I like. I like. So let's move on to the next card. Dean Lister. Dean Lister is 2 credits to install. Unique, so only one at one time. No influence. Resource connection. You trash Dean Lister, choose an icebreaker. Until the end of the run, that icebreaker has +1 strength for each card in your grip. Although he rarely teaches classes these days, his lectures are always well attended. So I like this idea of having him installed and being able to just trash him to boost an icebreaker higher in strength than what normally is. I like it a lot. I may be using him in a deck or two in the future. Alright, on to the next. Biometric spoofing. 2 credits to install this resource. No influence. You trash to prevent 2 damage. It doesn't say to meat damage, to brain damage, or to net damage. It just says 2 damage, which is nice. She left behind an encrypted trail leading to some random employee for a rival corp. She knew lazy sysops would work just hard enough to figure it out and wouldn't bother looking any deeper. Biometric spoofing. So this is a card that is nice, and you can have multiples installed. So if you get all 3 of them installed, you can literally, at instant speed, once damage is being dealt to you, you can go trash to prevent 4 damage, or trash all 3 to prevent 6 damage if it's overwhelming. Which is very nice in the current setup, because boom is a thing, as are a few other things that do massive damage. Alright, on to the last card. Here we have the Shadow Net. 0 credits, virtual resource. It is unique. You can only have 1 at one time. No influence. Click and forfeit an agenda. Play an event from your heap, ignoring all costs. A despicable web of outcasts and infamy. No government or corporation could effectively shut it down, if only because so many of their sysops, executives, and covert agents made use of it. The Shadow Net. I like it. Not sure about forfeiting agendas, but it would let you play an event from your heap, ignoring all costs, which could net you some pretty cool stuff if you were using it to net, for example, or play, for example, high stakes job, which gives you 12 credits if you make a successful run, and costs 6 to play normally, or other things that cost extra clicks to play. You could do that. So yeah, pretty cool. I like some of these cards, but that's going to be it for this episode of the Archives. The runner cards for Terminal Directive expansion. Tune in next time for the Corp cards of Terminal Directive expansion. And yeah, I like some of these cards, especially those criminal cards. As I said, a number of those criminal cards are likely going to be in my Laramie deck soon, because it looks like it could be all kinds of fun times with him. So yes, thank you all so much for watching. As always, if you like what I'm doing, please give that like button a tap. Give that subscribe button a tap as well if you haven't already, so you can be kept apprised of when I do new videos. And throw a comment in the comment section. What do you think of the Terminal Directive expansion? What do you think about the campaign and whatnot? I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. At least by the time of recording, I haven't had a chance to play it yet. Maybe by the time you guys see this episode, I will have had a chance. So, yeah. Do all that good stuff with the liking and subscribing and the commenting. And until next time, my friends, remember, keep running.